I've been coming to Vienna very regularly in the past few years, I would say, with different projects, chamber music, also with orchestra, and I obviously like coming here, like anybody else likes coming here. Also, when I was younger, I had the opportunity to play as an extra in the opera and in the orchestra in the Vienna Phil. So this opportunity I learned a lot from in this 1 month that I spent here when I was very young. So of course the city for me is very, very close. And of course the musical heritage, which everybody knows about, is very rich. And so it's really one of the main cities of music in the world. And therefore everybody likes to come here. Every musician likes coming here and playing here. And so do I. Well, obviously, growing up with my parents meant that I was surrounded by music from the first day. Not only are my parents musicians, but my grandparents are or were also musicians. So you can imagine that it was very musical. And, however, if you want to really become an instrumentalist, a musician yourself, it demands obviously a lot of effort, a lot of work, a lot of practice. And until the moment came that I really understood that I wanted this 100%, it was not automatic. It didn't happen by itself. So yeah, I have to say I learned a lot and still learn a lot from my parents, and I'm very grateful for that. But if you want to become a musician, you have to do your own work, so to say. You have to put in your own hours and the effort that is involved. And if one is ready to do that, as I was later on, then of course it can be a big plus to have such wonderful musicians to learn from, obviously. There's many things one could advise. The most important thing is to always study the music that you play. It sounds ridiculous and simple, but a lot of people just focus on their own instrumental problems. If it's a violin, a cello, a piano, or an oboe, or whatever, they focus so much on playing the instrument that they forget to study the music. And studying the music means also studying the music beyond what notes you play yourself, studying the harmonic structure, studying the general structure, studying all these things to really understand what the music is about, because only then you can really perform it the best you can. Otherwise, a lot of performances stay very technical and very clinical, and this is problematic for me. So the advice I would give is, yes, to study as deeply and as detailed as possible. Studying, I mean really sitting at the table with a score, not with the instrument. The studying with reading the score and analyzing it. This work is very important and is very rarely done properly. The other piece of advice that I would give is what I learned the most from is to play as much chamber music as possible. Because when you play chamber music, first of all, you learn to play with other people and to work with other people, and you get to learn from other people. And but even more importantly, you play the greatest works of music by Beethoven, Mozart, Brahms, etc. All these great composers, some of their best music is in the chamber music. So this is where you really learn. You learn the style, and you learn to understand the music that you then play in solo or in orchestra more deeply and more profoundly. But these comparisons with language are always a little bit problematic, because it doesn't really work that way. It's not that I play a melody by Beethoven And we say, yes, it's like a universal language, everybody understands it, but it's really not what's happening. Everyone is taking in the information in a very different way. You know, the expert listens to the Ninth Beethoven in a completely different way to a violinist, or maybe to someone who is not a musician, or to a young person, an old person. Music speaks to people in very different ways. The strength of music is that it can speak to people in all these different ways, and the Ninth Beethoven is a great piece for all of these people. But it's not really a language, because the communication is not as clear. So if I say a sentence to you, if I say something that is relatively clear, you will understand what I meant. And this with music is not always so simple. But yes, to the point that you were making, of course, it has the capacity of uniting people, because they all can relate to what they hear. We can all relate to a piece by Mozart or Beethoven, and that's, of course, that's wonderful. Well, that's another great thing about music, is that even in people that so to say are in conflict, the people themselves, of course, are the musicians themselves are not, but the countries that they come from are in conflict. The moment they sit in an orchestra and have to play whatever they're playing, they have to find a way to play the music together, because in an orchestra you of course you bring your individuality to the equation, otherwise it doesn't make any sense, but you're still part of a collective, and being part of a collective is all about working together and finding the best way forward to make it sound good. And this is basically the lesson for all of us that this orchestra can teach us, is that we learn an alternative way of thinking for the region, but also in general that is not based on conflict, on violence and on ignorance, but is based on understanding the situation, understanding the other, the position of the other, and being in constant dialogue with the other, because this is the only way you can make music. You learn that in chamber music even more. If you play a string quartet, you're constantly in dialogue with the other musicians, even if you don't look at them anymore. And this kind of music making is very powerful. And this is what the West Eastern Divan is all about. It won't solve the problems of the region, because the problems of the region go beyond playing in an orchestra, but it can offer us a way to think for the region. So we're playing a Mozart program with the conductor Thomas Guggeis. He's a very, very fine conductor. And this orchestra is comprised of musicians from Palestine. It's a project of the Barenboim-Said Conservatory in Ramallah, but it comprises musicians from everywhere in Palestine. And this project has been going on, I think, for 2 or 3 years. I think 3 years, and they've been working and playing a couple of times a year. So the musicians there get the opportunity to play also these great works and learn to play in orchestra. And this whole playing together thing, it's not so easy. We always think it's easy to play together, but if you really want to do it properly, it's very difficult. So they get the opportunity to do that, and I'm really looking forward to playing with them here and working with them in the rehearsal period. So it will be very, very gratifying and very interesting for me. Well, I have a few new things I have to learn. So I just played the world premiere of a piece by a Syrian-American composer called Karim Rustom. I just finished playing that with Lahav Shani conducting in the Boulez Ensemble in Berlin. I have to learn Wiedemann First Violin Concerto in the coming months. I have to play that. I'm playing with Dudamel in LA, Mozart Concerto. Yeah, things like this. It's very varied. So I have to learn playing Beethoven Concerto with the West Eastern Divan Orchestra in summer, because it's the 20-year anniversary of the West Eastern Divan. Yeah, there's a lot of things to practice and to learn. So actually, the thing with me, and actually a lot of my colleagues, I realized, is that not all of us, but a lot of us don't really listen to music just to relax in the background like many people do, because we're so trained like this that when music is playing, we're always listening with a very active kind of gesture. So I rarely really just listen to music just like this, but because I have two small children, of course we play a lot of music at home, you know, Mozart opera, things like this. Even Schubert symphony I played for them a few days ago. Things like that we do, yeah, of course. But when I go to concerts, I like to listen to a very varied kind of repertoire. I like to listen to a lot of contemporary music. I always find that interesting. That's why I play a lot of contemporary music. But to really answer your question precisely is very difficult.